Hi internet! So I'm going to be doing my February wrap up for what books I have read in February. It's a fucking joke. I don't even think I should make a video about what books I read because there are 3. Fuck, I read 3 books this month. I'm disappointed in myself, but at the same time, I wrote like over 30,000 words, so whatever bitches. Come at me, bro. Probably more because I just realised I was working on 2 stories and the 30,000 is only from 1 story. I've done a lot of world building. Also, I'm pretty good with my videos this month. So the first book I read was The 50 Shades of Earl Grey by Fanny Merkin. I loved this book so much. I have tried to make a video about this, but I can't do it without raging and talking down about 50 Shades of Grey, which I have been trying to read. I have literally like tried being like, okay, I'll go on this unbiased, I'll put my fanfiction hat on and I'll try to read it. Normal Cass, like Book Cassie. Book Cassie gets angry about a few things, but usually she's generally like pretty alright. She's like, I have faith in the editors and the writers and the publishers. Fanfiction Cassie is a whole different beast. I forgot how aggressive and angry fanfiction Cassie is. Then I tried to read 50 Shades of Grey, which to me is bad fanfiction, and I rage quit occasionally. I love rage quitting. It's a pastime of mine. I've never rage quit so many times on one book or so hard. Oh, elevators go at terminal velocity in that book. Just, anyway. 50 Shades of Earl Grey is, I'm gonna have to read this again after trying to read 50 Shades of Earl Grey because, oh my god, this is fantastic. And one of my favourite parts, which I mentioned in my haul, was a blurb on the back. I'm not telling you to buy 50 Shades of Earl Grey because I'm banging the author. I'm telling you to buy it and I'm banging the author. By Tiffany Rez's author of BDSM erotica series, The Original Sinners. I love this book. I loved where it came from. I love that it was written by someone who obviously has stuff to do with the BDSM community, and I also love how BDSM went from bondage, I don't know, I'm just going with BDSM and saying it's bondage, dominant, submissive, mistress, masochism, sadist. I forget what it stands for. We'll put it like in front of me right now, so you're reading what BDSM stands for right now because I have forgotten. BDSM in this book stands for bards, dragons, sorcerers, and mudkips. So that's a favourite part of mine. But this passage in general is a favourite of mine. And this is what I feel all the 50 Shades of Grey was missing. Is this your way of asking if I'll play this kinky BDSM game with you, Mr. Grey? He sighs, settling down his grilled corn on the cob. Would you at least act like you're shocked? If you're not shocked by how naughty and perverted my deviant tastes are, it kind of drains all the tension out of our relationship. So I should be shocked that you like to do bad stuff to women? Do you sexually abuse them against their will? That would be really shocking. No, that's not it at all. I mean, they're into it. I only do it if they like it. Sometimes they're more into it than I am, to be honest. But you're really into them, right? That's why it's shocking? No, they're fine. Some mild redness occurs on their bottoms, but that fades in a few hours. I'm not following, I said. Why am I supposed to be shocked? I don't know. If you're game, then why are we tiptoeing around this issue? I don't know. I've been DTF since we first met. Then without further ado, he sweeps the food off the table just for dramatic emphasis. He pulls a bagel out of his bathrobe, sounds a long note and clears his throat. Let the fucking begin. That is my favourite part, mainly because it addresses how BDSM isn't really that shocking or bad. How could it make him such a bad, terrible human being to be into it? But just the way it approaches everything, I am in love with. It's like, the end of the first chapter is holy motherfucking sparkly vampires. So yeah, even if you haven't read 50 Shades of Grey and really want to hate on it, if you've read Twilight or buy Twilight fanfiction and have a basic understanding on what 50 Shades of Grey was about, you can read this. I don't even think you need to have a basic understanding of 50 Shades of Grey. Really, I have more than a basic understanding and it keeps me awake at night. I hate that book so much. Like, I keep trying and I just can't. But I can read all this in one day and I'm in love with it. I just think about it and it makes me happy. It helped bring me out of a reading slump, kind of. Except that I went back into one. The next book that I read / listened to this month was Rock Chick by Crystal Cole. So this book is about indie, and she owns a bookstore, and she's in her mid-30s, and she's awesome in every way. And she's a rock chick. She's a glorified rock chick. She goes to rock shows, she's seen rock stars and all this stuff. Anyway, because of one of her employees, she ends up getting shot at and has to go running to her best friend and eventually her brother Lee. And oh my god, I love this book. Now, it is new adult and has abuse and sexual content in it, and it's probably not safe for children to read. Neither is 50 Shades of Earl Grey now that I think about it, but still, read it if you wanna, it's so funny. But I loved it. It's what I call my trashy book. It's not really trashy, but I feel like it's the trash that I've been missing in my life. Like, I had this urge to read fiction press and Wattpad and all that again, and this helped me with that urge because I didn't want to read actual novels and other things into my life. Now, there were a couple of things in this book I had a problem with, like the start of the relationship, parts of the relationship, but I felt that the main protagonist, Indy, did a great job of displaying her independence and everything, and even though some of that shit was bad, she had a way of letting you know that she's a strong, independent woman who doesn't take shit from anyone. Especially not Lee, and Lee is super hot. By the end of the book I was calling him Owlie, and then I sat there and I went, remember how we started off? Because he just reminded you, and we didn't like that. But at the same time, it's a book, and I can overlook things in books, apparently. Not all, I just bitched about 50 Shades of Grey. I can occasionally overlook things in books if they're really hot, and it's pointed out how wrong it is, okay? Okay, so if you're like sensitive to sexual abuse, violence, misogyny, not really misogyny, but there's like a tinge of it, I wouldn't read or listen to this book, but at the same time it's pure trash. Like, it's the trash I needed in my life. It's like my trashy romance novel that I fold so you can't see the cover, except I'll show you the cover because it's an awesome book. Hence why I spoke about it on the internet twice today, because I unhold it. Anyway, and the last book I read, by far my favourite book this month, The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. In the beautiful UK edition that I have, hardcover, it is slightly bigger than a UK paperback, which annoys me, and I think I mentioned in every video I make about this book. But I did a book review on this, I loved it, 5 stars, it is perfect, LGBTQ characters, and love, and romance, and gender equality, and a character that has been so abused and takes care of herself and everyone else and is amazing! Amazing! And I also really like Jack from the start, when we start hearing about him, because he sounds like such an underdog. And then you got Benjamin, who, I kind of hated Benjamin before we met him. I was just like, oh, Benjamin. Really, Benjamin? And then I like loved him again, and our main protagonist, whose name I have instantly forgotten, Hazel. Hazel is my favourite. The sleeping homeboy in the coffin is my favourite. Sorrow is my favourite. Sorrow shouldn't be my favourite, really, but Sorrow's my favourite. Everything about this book, okay, that's a lie. I hate the size of it. But I've got the US edition coming, so that will make up for it. I really want you to read this book. It is now my screen wallpaper. Fairies, knights, princes, and true love. Think you know the story? You don't. Now it's think again. Think again. So I really love this little wildlife. I love the way that it introduced how technology would work in this world and how it's like this little town, and it's amazing, and I'm not even gonna explain it. This book is about Hazel, who has grown up being the knight while her brother was the sorcerer, and they went and hunted monsters and fairies in the woods when they were younger. Now they are older, and Hazel kisses all of the boys, and there is a horned boy in a glass coffin that they are both in love with that sleeps in the darkest part of the forest and has teenagers partying around him every weekend, and tourists taking pictures of him and trying to debunk his existence. And then you have Jake, who is the best friend of Ben and is also a fairy, and then you have Ben, who is awesome, and then you have Hazel, who is awesome, and then you have everything and the monsters in the forest, and I love this book. Yeah. I have a book review. I'm gonna stop raving about this book. Anyway, I hope you guys have had a lovely month. Have you read more books than me? Probably, because it's been terrible. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!